you to an architecture college? Why did you choose this specific profession, this specific stream of education as an undergrad?
So when I think when I was in 12th, and you can also recall 3 years ago, you were in better situation. You had Google Baba to tell you what is architecture and all. In our time, we did not have Google Baba. Huh? I entered architecture 1990. No Google, no internet. Huh? It was sheer, I will say, guts and coincidence. Guts because I had very good sketching skills. So I thought this can be one area, and coincidence because I was preparing for IIT and BITS Pilani, but I just ran short of some marks. And I got through architecture. I mean, it was as simple as that's why it is coincidence. So it was not really planned. There was nobody in my entire Khandan who had ever gone to engineering college. So architecture is also linked to engineering college because in earlier days we never had independent architecture school. So yeah, so going to engineering college was an agenda, having a maths in my city, but not really fixing it to architecture per se. So that's how it began. But once in architecture, you learn that you don't have to study. So it's really la la life. Huh? And then you start getting spoiled. This is how I began. I started immediately liking it because I was very workaholic and very serious student to study. And suddenly I realized I don't have to study. And the world opened for me. So that's how I started enjoying architecture actually. That I was not bound by, to read this or not to read this or do this or not to do this. And that fascinated me a lot about architecture initially, without even knowing the seriousness of doing building or building cities.
So you had interest in sketching and
Yes, it was simple. Yeah, I was good in sketching and interested in sketching as well. And there was nobody to counsel. It was like कि पूरा इंजीनियरिंग इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स सब हो जाएगा, जो पीछे बच्चे बच जाएंगे उनको आर्किटेक्चर मिल जाएगा, kind of, So yeah, I mean, although doing good in school did not mean that you do good in the national and state level exams. So it was actually, I was not a good student for competitive exams. I'm still not good. I don't like to race where everybody is racing behind somebody. So I was not good then also. So it just landed that it happened. It is coincidence. Coding कर रही होती तो I would not have been alive on it until now.
Sorry, I didn't get the last line.
I said if I was doing coding, I would have been living on.
Oh, acha.
But it is pure maths. I know that coding itself is now beautiful. What else?
so ma'am, after your education, after your graduation, and even during that, what sort of hardships and challenges did you face being a woman in this technical field?
Good question. Very good question. And I asked this also. I know I have asked this as well. And actually, I didn't even realize the difference between gender when I was studying. Because I would beat any gender or any person in the class. Beat in the sense, not this beat.
Yes, ma'am.
But by skills, And yeah, good student in architecture, as I realized eventually by marks also, and by other performance as well. So I never had this gender issue while studying architecture. I did know that there is a gender difference, but I didn't realize that it is going to matter in the profession while studying, because in both the colleges where I studied, I started from MITS Gwalior, and with merit, I shifted to MSCT Bhopal, which is now NIT. So it used to be State Engineering College. So we always had these empty seats which can be taken up by the state level college to the State Engineering College, which was at that time national level, which is now also national level. So in these two architecture schools, which are part of engineering college, we always had girls topping in the class, you know. So and in Gwalior, which was very equal number of boys and girls competing, and also in the class composition, it was same. And in performance, it was never a situation that, oh, you are a girl, you can do this. Of course, in sports and other things and going to field work, those things will matter. And if I have, because this is the first time I'm also recalling my youth in this angle, from that when you are going for field work or when we went for trips and all, we would actually depend on boys to take care of us. And now I feel embarrassed about it. I can take care of boys now better than boys can take care of me. But this was kind of ingrained culturally. So, we went to Agra, we came to Baroda for our field study trips. And it was always like they are going to protect us. So this was the only, I think, thing which I can say that I realized about gender, because I come from a city which is in Chhattisgarh, where we used to have lot of problem of eve teasing. So we had a very different notion of boys, you know. So apart from that, I think by skill and in architecture, it was not much of a difference. And now I teach everywhere in the country. I see even in colleges, gender is not so much really an issue. You may not realize it because you are in a women's college,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
otherwise teachers are really, and even education, and even the girls nowadays who are no less than Jhansi Ki Rani are not making that this difference in this at an academic level for sure. Yes. What else?
Okay. So, ma'am, do you remember the moment in your life when you realized that you want to become an entrepreneur? And
You want to
if
become
an entrepreneur, if there are
entrepreneur?
any
Okay.
instances that you want to share that led you to this point in your life.
Hmm. Yes, it was there in my mind. I come from a very poor family, and I knew that to become an entrepreneur, it is better to have a partner who is an architect, because I'm an architect. So it was. I will not say you fall in love with a strategy, but it was very clear that if I have a family or a partner who is of the same profession, I may be able to have my own office.
Mm.
Especially, I think this started coming post training. I did my training with KB Jain and Meena Jain, who are very well known conservation architects from Ahmedabad. So Jain Saab and Meena Ben are so well complemented with their abilities and the way they used to work. I think it was then uh, probably somewhere in the head it came in that if you really want to become an architect and big architect like them, it is better to have a companion so that you can really expand your work and do. Knowing that I do not have any investments uh, possible from my end, that time I was not knowing that to become an architect and entrepreneur, you don't need any investment. It was, you can start from zero. And we did start from zero because my husband is also an architect.
Yes, landscape architect.
So, yes, he's a landscape architect, but I will say uh, there was this thing in the mind that to become an architect as a practicing architect, because we also never saw our teachers as architects, which is also the case until today, last month, my experience. In Kolkata, by the way, I was a jury in Kolkata. So I think, yeah, you make these decisions. I mean, but of course, you don't fall in love thinking about that. But the thing is that you are surrounded with these people, you know, with your own professional people. So during college time, there was hardly any situation when you come across a doctor or a lawyer or engineer we used to come across. But again, this whole notion that our architecture classmates and seniors are protecting us from the bad boys of engineering, you know, this was the kind of mindset in engineering college. So actually we had no choice than choosing architect as our boyfriends. So unfortunately, given a choice, I would prefer to marry a lawyer or a doctor, you know. But
Yes.
I can't return 25 years back now. Preferably doctor who can fix my teeth, who can fix my skin and you know my health and everything for free. I don't have any problem, but just that thinking. Chalo. So it was
You,
planned, I will say, but not with which architect who and all. But yes, it played in the head. So I actually got my boyfriend when I was doing my training with
doing
Meenakshi
your
Jain and K,
in
training with
okay,
Meenakshi Jain and KV Jain.
okay.
So you may call it strategic or you may call it falling in trap because that time my boyfriend was studying landscape architecture at SET.
Okay.
So who is also my college senior, by the way. Huh? So he kind of became like that masiha to protect me from all the bad boys in the city. And I was very happily falling into that trap. Okay, that good boy is saving me from all the bad boys around. And this is how you fall in love or really fall in love, literally. Yeah? So, and then of course, by the time I finished my architecture, he finished his postgraduate and he straight away started working. So I followed. I didn't follow, but if you ask me question, I will tell you. I mean, I did start with job. So, yes.
Even my college, ma'am, it was initially an engineering college only, and later on, architecture भी उन्होंने introduce करा. In fact, I am the third batch of architecture in my
Okay, so you
department.
have the engineering college alongside, no? So
Yes,
all the
ma'am.
bad boys are there. They are looking at the architecture girls who
But
come with
ma'am,
beautiful
it's a women's
dresses.
university. So
Okay, it's a women's university. Oh no. I am not in favor of this gender skewed education. But we used to have this, very strongly that all the architecture boys used to have this extra responsibility of taking care of the architecture girls because the beauty of architecture school was in and still it is in across the country is that the gender balance is there in the education. There are equally half number of boys and girls when in the
yes,
co-ed part of it. So yeah, so boys of the other bad boys were never in our agenda. You know? So that's how. Yes.
okay. So, ma'am, as you said, having a spouse in the same field or profession, as you said, you had planned. He,
Not plan, but yeah,
yes,
there
ma'am,
was
sort
something
of.
in the mind.
Yes,
Huh.
ma'am.
You
But on
can't
the
plan marriage and love, huh?
yes, ma'am. But on the other
That is
hand,
very difficult.
having a spouse in the same field, did you face any sort of gender biasness, like working on a same project? Did you always get the same credits?
Did you read anything about it?
No, ma'am.
About this because it's a very well researched question. I didn't realize it in the beginning that gender is going to come in between. So yes, I started my career with Dr. B.V. Doshi, and then I worked 1 year with a builder. And while working with a builder, we started co-working. So when my husband was already doing some project with his partner, so I started slowly working with him, and then I joined my master's at SET University after 2 years, and then I started working more with my husband. So it was like co-working with him, and I think somewhere in the mind because he had a partner, also because he had a different specialization, I knew that to really have my specialization projects in between us, I
Yes.
need to learn little bit more. So I indulged in working at SET University with all the well-known professors. I have one project at least. I thought that I will, make myself more capable for the organization, which is going to be eventually ours. So initially he was working with his partner, and then we had our own office while I was working at SEPT as a consultant and also working for us, because between two of us he did not know computers and I was very efficient in computer. And initially we did start with manual working, where uh, I would do all the computer drawings and everything. And it was like a work division, very clear work division.
Site work and
He will do the site work
yes,
and client meeting, and I will comfortably take care of the house and do the drawings and
drawings.
all, because our house and office was also one for nearly 10 years. So we used to operate from the house. Very well interior designed house and all. And I didn't realize it until 6, 7 years that this mode of work division is going to impact. And probably it was not planned, and he also did not realize. But it started hitting me that uh, I'm not recognized as an architect with similar qualification and similar skills. And some incidences which continue to happen in those years. Initially, I did not take a note of it, but slowly it started, I started realizing it. For example, going to client meetings, and clients will make me sit in the waiting room and they will go inside the meeting room and do the meetings. And I'm sitting outside for the drawings which I have made, you know so designs which are my designs. So uh, you don't realize it immediately, but when you start growing and when you know that you are doing these things, slowly it started hitting my head. It was nearly 6, 7 years I didn't realize it, because I was working both at SEPT and with my husband. So that time my schedule was very busy. I was doing 3 shift job. So with SEPT, with my husband, and with another professor outside as a consultant, because also we had to earn money and earn an equal share of money in that aspect, because we had bought a house, uh, and also to support both ways. And at the back of the mind, being a very aspirational woman, to learn a little bit more so that I can offer to the office more. It was this that but by 7 and 8 years, the realization was coming very close that my specialization was not getting projects, because I had urban design and he had landscape architect. So I was getting little bit, I started thinking, retrospecting what's going on. And when these clients will do like this, and many times clients will even, with all good intention, not even knowing that they are harming me, with all good intention, अरे भाभी जी आप आए हैं, बैठो बैठो,
भाभी जी.
पल्लवी, हाँ. So I mean that's not a problem. भाभी जी is not a problem for me, but पल्लवी जरा भाभी जी को घर घुमा देना, उनके साथ तुम थोड़ा बातें कर लेना, चलिए अक्षय भाई हम लोग प्रोजेक्ट का थोड़ा बातचीत कर ले. हाँ. So these
Not
things,
addressing you as in designer or architect.
yes. But it is not their problem. They were trying to be good to me, nice to me, So being men and of Indian culture and all those blah blah. It was very late I realized that actually my husband never told even their clients that his wife is an architect, because he also didn't realize that he has to tell that, So he would take me to all the meetings as we are going together. So he will say, "This is Mansee." Yes, fine. And then chalo meeting shuru karte hain. So slowly, after a while, I had to tell my husband that, come on, you have to tell your clients that I am also an architect and I have worked on this project. Then and then only they will invite and appreciate me to be seated in the meeting. So yes, he realized that, and things changed a little bit. Um, Still, it wasn't enough.
Yes.
It took me nearly 10 years before I had to decide that. And especially, I guess, because the specialization which I had done was not getting exercised in the office, because I was not the face of the office. I was the
Exactly.
helping assistant or draftswoman of the office for nearly 10 years.
Yes.
because I was not initiating meeting, I was not getting projects because I was not meeting the clients directly. I was going as, making notes on the site and, doing and making sketches and coming back and then discussing and then converting it to drawing. So somewhere unknowingly, even it started, getting into head of my husband that I'm assisting in all his work. And something which no one realizes, neither in the spouse relationship, the checks come in my husband's name. So on nearly 10 years, I did not earn a single rupee
In that
from our
sense,
practice.
yes, ma'am.
From our practice in that sense. So although that I think that is where my other earnings were also quite useful, because I could realize the difference, that if I am giving this much hour to SEPT, I get this much money, which was more intended to serve the house and get specialized in some other area which can be useful for the house. But soon I realized that it was getting something different than what I was imagining it to be. So yeah, that's how I spent 10 years in the beginning. So, and the realization was there very much around 10 years. Nearly by a decade, I realized that, okay, I am a woman and this profession has some problems. I never had sight problems, although whenever we went to site and all, I would run around in the same pace and, to do everything around, but nobody is directly talking to me on the site. No? I'm just running after all the men who are running around in the site, whether it is client, whether it is the architect, who is my husband, or
Engineer.
other consultants, engineers, contractors. So I'm just standing at the back. If there's anything on the drawing, I will actually try to involve myself and say, give me some space. This is where what you are asking for, because I made the drawing. But otherwise, they make a circle around and they're talking, they are showing things, and I'm just standing akele alag se, huh? So, and sometimes smiling with these women laborers and talking and playing with their children very happily without realizing. But I think by 9 or 10 years, it was over my head that there is a gender problem in the profession. And that's where I also started changing the course of my career. Because by then I was very I don't want to use the word known, but very well connected at SEPT for projects, for teaching, for doing different events. So I had a very good network established at SEPT. So, and also conducted 2 international studios with exchange people from Cambridge and US at Indiana University. So I was slowly getting exposed also to what the other side of the practice, with research and education. So while I was practicing, I was slowly getting these exposures because I always kept working outside. So this was also a reason why I think I could really expand my horizon beyond practice, because parallelly I was doing. There was never so much of work that I have to work for 12, 13, 14 hours for the office. We both used to work for 12 to 14 hours a day, but not that all the time is required for the practice which we had in the beginning. So I could easily distribute my time, and a very disciplined person by actually living even till today. So I still work for 12 to 14 hours, nearly, with no exaggeration. Um, but I can divide the time slot, and which I used to do then also. So yeah, but gender was realized nearly 7, 8, 9, 10 years. In those times, then I was also growing a little bit older. So yeah. I think I have very clear distinction of 25, 35, 45 years of my age. Now I'm going to be 50 very soon.
Yes, Pallavi.
Interject
Yes,
here.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
I'm sorry I was disconnected in between, but then of the part I heard, have things changed now? Can a woman architect stand by herself and create a work all by herself now?
They can if they want to.
Are there examples now? New age girls
There are
doing it?
solo practitioners. See, actually, I am Pallavi. I am doing a research on women in architecture, thorough research, and writing a manuscript on it, where I am actually interviewing So I have classified women in different categories, where women working with spouse, women who are children of famous architects, because that is also a case where you can practice alone. But there are women who have started on their own. So if I
Very
have to
cool.
give example of Rana De, Shilpa Rana De, self-made
Acha.
woman, very
Okay.
self-made woman. Uh,
Okay.
uh, her brother used to work with me at SEP University, and she has good body of knowledge, work in her resume.
Okay.
So people have managed to do. I think the niche they create. There are many women architects who have shifted to interior design or product design, and they have made their name. And hardcore architecture also people have done. There they have partners with other. There's a woman, Shruti Purohit in Indore. Her husband is a merchant navy, and she is a
Okay.
solo warrior, I will say. And recently she got a good award for her work.
Okay.
So yes, people have tried. It takes time. I think men or women, this whole business of architecture takes nearly 7 to 10 years to know you who you are, and also for the market and society to know who we are. Both
Establish
things.
yourself. Yes, ma'am.
And are they taken differently now? As you said, I mean, everything around you, your work was not given credit. So, and the
Architecture
examples you
was.
gave, yeah,
Hmm.
also had some connection and men associated. So, are they taken seriously now?
I think things are changing. If I have to see in retrospection, last 25 years, I'm
Hmm.
in the profession and not in the profession, and that's also a catch in my life. I think there is a big change in
Very
25
well.
years.
Very good. And so they
So
have more reasons to join architecture than just as a side stream to engineering.
mm,
Yes, I think.
I am not a proponent of women joining architecture if they don't want to practice. But this is a chicken and egg situation. How will a
Okay.
child know in 12th class whether they can
Absolutely.
practice or
Very
not?
true.
But the unfortunate part of this profession, because of which I started doing my research, is the number of women uh, in architecture schools and colleges are plenty, because women find it quite convenient to teach, or whatever reason they land up there because of no practice, or it is easy to handle. They love to teach. Genetically, women are very designed to babysit children, which are the students. So somehow more women land up in teaching, and
Okay.
they are not recognized as architects. And that's my pain. So
Okay.
women teachers, or even men teachers who are teaching architecture, are not considered architects enough in this country. They're teachers.
Okay. Oh.
That's my problem. That why they are teachers, why don't they are architects?
Okay.
Because a doctor who is teaching is also practicing in medical college. Most of the medical doctors who are teachers are hardcore practitioners, and same applies to
Absolutely.
many architects.
Okay.
90% architects are also in that format, whether it is men or women, that they practice and teach. But
Okay.
if they are doing well in practice, they are seen as architects. But if they are full-time teaching and not doing any practice, which is not the case of architects, by the way, everybody is doing some or the other project, but still somehow it does not register in people's mind.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know much about the field, but it was good to know. So Ria, you can
It's a
continue.
very skewed field, huh? It
Yeah.
is still a male bastion, I must say, because somewhere women have also not managed to really claim their position, because site pay you have to go, and these client meetings, and most of the work is by the way in black and under the table. Lot of work in architecture is under the table and black, where
Oh.
many women are not comfortable.
Okay. No, but I guess it's the
I
same
have
in.
not taken a single rupee black in my life. Architecture profession works with nearly 30 to 40% black money, and rest is white money.
30 to 40% black. Oh my
It's a
god.
lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it. Everybody acts like very, clean, dhula pucha.
And just just to know how much other professions take. If architects take 30 or 40, what does an
No,
engineer
because
take?
no, engineering will not take so much, but engineer, if he or she is in contracting, will have a different situation. But this is one of the big deterrents why women are not so much in the practice field. That's what I'm trying to reflect.
Okay,
Yeah, as per my experience, because
okay.
I'm not saying women are uncorrupt and men are corrupt, but I, at least in my case, which Ria is going to ask me what happened after 10 years of my practice, I think it was a big deterrent for me to even meet clients after office hours is a big problem. I don't want to meet anybody after 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
Hmm.
Man can do a meeting at 10 p.m. in
Huh.
the night, where even if I can do that meeting at 10 p.m. in the night, I would not like to, and I never did that. Another thing is, if I do, it may have a negative impact both in my on my character, and also the man will not be comfortable. So man will never have a meeting with me at that time to finalize the project. But two men can really just sit over drink and finalize the project. These things have been deterrent, to be honest. I have never tried those things, but I know that these things matter because I have friends in the circle. We have to, the moment it is 6 or 7, it is go back to home, and you have to take care of the house. In my case, I did not plan for children, but in most of my acquaintances, they have a house to take care, children to take care, and and then other things are there about life. So that's the life part, and the profession gets affected. So it has not changed much in that sense. But professional involvement, women have found out ways to do multitasking in the profession. So a lot of women are now practicing.
So, ma'am,
Yes, Ria.
did you ever have to take a step down to manage things or to manage family after having a family?
After step down means, so how, what is down for you?
Down
I'm
in the
always
sense
down,
ki,
down, yeah.
no, ma'am,
I'm
in the
going down
sense
only,
ki,
huh? I
you
fell in love was the first down. Then I realized that gender was the second down.
that you thought you should take a pause and
I don't
do.
believe in going up, huh? I believe in going down so that I can touch the ground one day, which I have already touched, I think, very a long time ago. Yeah,
No, ma'am,
this
I
whole
went
no,
to
I
ask.
told you, no, I don't go for race.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Okay. So it
when
was
you
not in
down,
your
down,
head ki.
I think you will have a hard time to get answers from me, huh? Because I don't want to say I am not a usual person, but my views about life is very difficult for many people to digest. So it becomes very difficult for many people. So I hope you find sense. So I never went up. I'm going down.
Actually, ma'am, no. My question is ki, did you ever thought ki I should take a pause and priorities मैं थोड़ा family को दूँ या managing things at
No,
home?
no.
Never.
I was very clear in my head before marriage that I'm not going to have bacha kacha, because I never wanted to contribute to the population of this country. That was very clear
Yes,
in my
ma'am.
head. As a rebel child with four daughters, it was very clear and a precondition to marry anybody. So yes, there was a family pressure from of which happens. Everybody will laughingly ask me about the child and
Yes.
all. Friends will ask me कि और अब क्या कब होगा बच्चा and this and that. Family कब शुरू करना है? This was a very patent word,
Hmm.
the favorite word of many people, which is very normal because people see conventional life. Okay, 2 साल शादी हो गई, 3 साल हो गई, अब तो बच्चा आ जाना चाहिए and all those kind of things.
Yes. So was this a
Uh,
mutual
it
between
was a
you and?
precondition from my side. I would not have married the man if he wanted to have a child.
Oh,
I was so clear
okay.
in my head that I don't want a child. This country is full of population and children. Everybody is growing children, and then they are hiding behind excuse of the child and doing corruption and earning money. and saying हम तो अपने बच्चे के लिए सब कर रहे हैं. Parents have to leave good environment, good water, good air for the child, not the bank balance. So anyway, I was a rebel child for my parents because they had too many children. So I never wanted to have child. So I did come across a lot of these questions, and I had a very favorite line when somebody will ask me, क्यों अभी तक बच्चा नहीं हुआ, 5 6 7 साल हो गया. तो आई विल आस्क, मैंने आपसे पूछा आपका बच्चा क्यों हुआ, and everybody will shut down. So I mean that's why I
Perfect.
said no. People have difficulty asking me questions, and that's why I was warning you. Don't get into mess with me. You know. So yeah. So this was used to be my response. So no pressure, I can say, but yes, it is natural to have. I think until 7 8 years of marriage, this pressure was on the head, but not after that. And till date, I have never regretted my decision not to have child. Especially when I now go to colleges and look at the youth and the children and their attitude and their styles, and I feel so happy that I saved my 25 years, 20 years.
I see my
With
teachers in my
what do you say? With no offense to anybody, but
yes.
um, I feel both ways, you know. A, that this is not the kind of youth I would like to see, uh, whoever I come across, most of them. And also, I think my generation is unfair to the youth, to the future generation. We are making so much of money for our children, but we are not trying to give them good environment, good education, freedom. We are not able to give them feelings which I miss in the youth nowadays. So I think I'm quite comfortable with this. I think there was very few, 3 or 4 times in our whole 25 years. We are going to complete 25 years of marriage also. With graduation,
Congratulations.
we just got married. So I think it's not even 25 times we have discussed about the siblings. Never. And I have quite a number of friends who don't have siblings, by the way. So India has changed. I mean, people see these problems of. But after 10 years, nobody dared to ask me this question. 7, 8, 10 years, because सबको पता चल गया कि they are not planning.
Yes.
But it's a big help, to not have a child, and then I could do things which I wished to, and my wish was never so much personal. And yeah, I could really take risks. I could go anywhere and things like that. And I think at 10 years, when you said, did you go down and think? Yes, I did think about in my 9th, 10th year, and took a pause that this is not the way I would like to spend whole of my life. And I applied for my next level of studies, which often many women do in this country. जब कुछ समझ में नहीं आता तो और पढ़ना है, चले जाते हैं. So I wanted to become more meaningful for my office because I was not getting fully utilized. I
Yes.
thought कि मैं और पढ़ूंगी तो मेरे को कुछ अच्छा काम मिलेगा and this and that. So I applied and I went to University of Cambridge with full scholarship and did my MPhil there. Yeah, so I did take a break. If you want to call break as going down, I did take a break and went to Cambridge. And
But not
did
to
my
plan a family, but to, you know, take a step.
I did rethink. I did think about my career because we had the first office just before I left for Cambridge. We bought our first office, so we had to shift house from, divide the house into office and then bring the office to commercial office premise. And I think it was very clear that I have to make my own career because when the office was made, there was no space made for me, our office, and it was a joint office. And there was only one cabin which belonged to my husband. So I think it was it was not intended, but I think it did not just get into the head. We never realized it. And I also didn't realize it until it was made, because I made the drawings of the office.
Yes, ma'am.
But when it was done, then I realized, oh my God, where am I going to sit in this office? Do I have to sit with everybody? Am I not the boss? And I think that was good enough an indication for me. That was, I will say, a kind of, I knew that I have to chart my own path.
And I think, ma'am, most of the women have this thought कि वो एक perception ही ऐसा है कि I'm a woman and मुझे ही घर संभालना है तो वो ही sacrifice कर देती हैं. Like I have seen cases where the women are more educated than her husband, than the man, but वो just
Does
for
it
the
matter?
family.
More educated.
Ma'am,
Why should it matter?
I'm educated in the sense कि हाँ, it doesn't matter. You are right. But
डिग्री से क्या होगा यार?
yes, ma'am. You're right.
हाँ,
Yes,
क्या
ma'am.
होगा डिग्री से? डिग्री से क्या होगा जब पेरेंटिंग ही ऐसा प्रॉब्लमेटिक है, जब पेरेंट्स ऐसा बोले, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट माय पेरेंट्स, जस्ट ग्रूमिंग व्हिच इज वेरी गुड ग्रूमिंग, आई एम अ सेल्फ सस्टेन्ड पर्सन, कि बेटा प्रधानमंत्री और प्रेसिडेंट भी बन जाओ ना तो भी अपने घर का काम खुद ही करना. मैं भी आज तक पूरा काम करती हूँ अपने घर का, and I do it with lot of pride and happiness. Never a single grudge in my face when I do all the work. सुबह 2 घंटा, you cannot imagine that I am the buy of the house, and I do it very happily. And I think even if I become the president of India and if time allows, I will do that, because that leaves me without any dependability on anybody. At least I can feed myself. I can take care of my space. That's the least human can do for themselves. Forget about serving the whole country and whole world. Serve yourself first. So in disguise, they were telling that you are the woman, the parents, so you have to take care of the house. And I did resist that with my parents also, and also in the relationship. But as I said, I really love to do my domestic chores. I mean, I have never complaints about it. And especially in this 25 years of my career and marriage, I have lived half the time around the world. Then I have to anyway do everything by myself. So it's not about man doing or woman doing. It is pity that man cannot take care of himself. Now women have to babysit them.
Yes.
So it's not my problem. I'm better off. So I don't see, I know 90% of my friends, in fact more than that, my women friends who thinks that they are liberated, they prefer to explain their liberation by not doing a domestic chores. मैं तो अपने घर में खाना ही नहीं बनाती, मेरे तो घर में किए नहीं.
Yes.
I don't agree on all these things, and that's where I think you will have hard time. बोलो. So yeah.
I think it should not be a perception कि
वुमेन को करना है.
yes ma'am.
मेरा जो सोचना है, अभी क्या हुआ है, वुमेन को एम्पावर करने में उनको परी और झांसी की रानी बना दिया, तो वो घर का काम नहीं सीखती आज की लड़के. मेरी भी खुद की, मैंने बोला ना, 90% मेरी फ्रेंड्स, गर्ल फ्रेंड्स, दे डोंट डू डोमेस्टिक कोर्स. इवन इफ दे डोंट वर्क, दे डोंट डू, बट मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल आर वर्किंग. अनफॉर्चुनेट बात क्या हो गई है कि लड़कों को ये नहीं सिखाया जा रहा है कि तुम घर में झांसी की रानी लाओगे, वो तुम्हारा घर का काम नहीं करेगी जैसे मैं कर रही हूँ. तो मम्मियों ने ये नहीं सिखाया. तो नाउ इन द करेंट जनरेशन यू सी ऑल दिस काइंड्स ऑफ प्रॉब्लम. So I feel quite better off doing everything. But this perception is wrong from the male side, that woman is going to take care. But I don't know how much you read about neurology or genetics, but somewhere women have that knack, which I miss now in the younger generation, which is, I don't know whether it is good sign or not. Instead of mothers not teaching girls to take care of the house, they should teach boys to take care of the house, so that both know to take care of the
Exactly.
house. After all, it is
Yes.
their house, So like man should not be claiming मैं नहीं करूँगा ये काम, which is very evident in my generation. They have this masculinity, and they feel offended to do domestic chores. That mother should have changed in men, and not that they do not teach girls not to do. Unfortunate parenting in this country. 20 साल 25 साल पहले मेरे पेरेंट्स अलग पढ़ाते थे कि हमको ही सब करना है, मेरा तो भाई भी नहीं है, पर अब तो पेरेंट्स और गलत कर रहे हैं, लड़कियों को भी नहीं सिखा रहे हैं, लड़कों को तो सिखा ही नहीं रहे हैं, लड़कियों को भी नहीं सिखा रहे हैं, तो आगे जाके swiggy.com में जिएंगे सब।
Yes, ma'am. Right.
ठीक है।
Regarding this, there are many examples जो भी मेरे दिमाग में आए, like चाइल्ड केयर जो एक लीव मिलती है वो एक वुमेन के लिए ही होती है इंडिया में, कि अगर
दोनों के लिए है, दोनों के लिए है, मैन
अभी
देते
तो
नहीं,
recent
दोनों के लिए है, मैन नहीं लेते हैं, फादर पेरेंट लीव में दोनों ही आते हैं।
It's not in my knowledge because I've always seen कि जब भी चाइल्ड केयर लीव लेनी होती है तो मदर, whether she's in a government job or in a private sector, वो चाइल्ड केयर लीव लेके she takes care of the baby, but I've never seen man doing that.
You have not seen man, but constitutionally and lawfully, man also gets parents leave. They don't take it. In this country also we have the law. I know my own friend took parental leave for both his children. But then they oblige the whole family by taking that leave. And, I think it is more than the rule which is there or policy which is there. Men would not like to take that leave. That's my observation. It has to do with the nurturing of masculinity, back to that same problem.
Yes.
So we never had this situation because we are not in job and we are entrepreneurs, so we never have that.
So my next question is a little different. Ma'am, I saw in the variety of your areas of interest, you have lakes and water as your interest. You also have advisory engagements with the local communities and governments on various aspects of lake management and conservation. There's a forthcoming book of yours which you're writing on the conservation and management of lakes in India.
Yes.
So, ma'am, my question to you is, why did you choose to work on this? I mean, why is this thing so close to your heart?
Good question. It also came from architecture education, actually.
Yes.
My bachelor's and postgraduate course thesis were on lakes. Bachelor was not on lake, but the site was on the lake front. And then postgraduate course was on my urban design thesis. And somewhere I could link my childhood nostalgia and memories of living in West Bengal, by the way, in all these little ponds. And my urban design thesis got a lot of appreciation. And as a young fellow who is looking for direction in life, and if you get little bit of appreciation, you think this is the right path to take. And slowly I started developing interest, and I wrote my MPhil proposal also on lakes, and I worked on lakes, and then my PhD is also on lakes. So it's just that the more I started learning and living it, I started loving it more, I say it this way. And I still think that I have so much to know about that subject. Now I'm recording a course, MOOC, online, massive online course at IIT Madras on urban lakes. And this seems to be a never-ending, subject where I will never be able to master the subject, I started teaching at Terry University from today, by the way, on water governance. So from lake, my horizon has expanded to water. And then from water it is moving to women, and it is moving to disaster, it is moving to transboundary water. So it's not only lakes, but lake became kind of a stepping stone to even deviate from architecture. And all this started from architecture because of the kind of practice we used to do in the office, and we still do with my husband. We do large campus development in the office. So large scale projects. We don't do small plot development or a small house. We don't do that kind of project. we are taking large scale development projects where we have the liberty to exercise all the ecological values of a place, from hydrography, from topography, from climatology, to change the microclimate of the place. So like
Yes.
university campus, like mining site, like temple complex, like residential campus, huge campuses we are taking care in the project, where we actually used to start from topography and hydrography to make the sure that the place is water efficient. And so it's not that it jumped from nowhere. It's the urban design thesis and the kind of practice we were doing, that the inclination towards working on water bodies. So first thing we will do when we go to a site, we will look at the topography and see how much water we can conserve in the site,
Yes.
where can we make the lake, where can we make the wastewater pond. So in every campus which we have designed. So it was also, I guess, because my husband is also heavily ecologically inclined. So he is more than a billion tree man kind of person. Huh? So I think we that way we could complement each other, looking at the site. And so master planning and development would be my kind of input in the project, which he would get. I never got a project in the office. So because I never went out for looking for projects,
Yes.
he would get. It was kind of his pressure and burden to get projects for the office. But what I'm trying to say is that our focus was all on the ecological development of the place, and then architecture would arrive. It was never other way around, and it is still not that way in the office. We always do the site development and then propose the architecture. So I think that helped me dwell into and slip into this water area. And then MPhil in water. By the way, planning was my major, and with economics of water. Then I came back and started teaching little bit, and then doing more projects in the office, and slowly started more teaching and research. And then came the opportunity of doing the PhD, and that is where it turned all into research and writing and all. But until 15 years of practice, there was no writing, no research, nothing, But when I started doing PhD, I realized the power of writing and doing research. And I think while doing PhD, I also started realizing that how superficial architecture profession can be, uh, where there is more weightage to the beauty, which is very hollow. So what you see is the beauty, not how the building functions, you know, because we used to take care of these things in our projects. But when I see most of the architecture projects, most of the thing is about how it looks.
Yes.
सामने से अच्छा दिखना चाहिए, भले उस बिल्डिंग में कैंपस में पेड़ है. 90% of the architects don't even put trees सामने, because उनका elevation building का
खराब हो
खराब हो
जाएगा.
जाएगा.
Yes.
So these things slowly started making me realize how elitism is there in architecture, and also how superficial the profession is. And I think it hit me more. What you say as going down, I use the word hit, or
Yes.
realization or enlightenment is better word for me. I realized while doing a lot of water research and all, and that we have overbuilt our cities. We have overbuilt in terms of road, in terms of buildings and all. And when you look at the vacancy rate of cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, I realized that
Bangalore.
architects should not be building anymore. A good architect, if you really want to save the planet, if you believe in climate change, if you believe in sustainable development, the first thing a person has to do now is not to build. And that,
Yes.
I think, realization has come very strong in my head while I was doing my PhD. So after returning from PhD, I worked on a couple of projects with my husband. And I think after that, I had to give it up, because most of our projects and clients are big fat clients with big money.
Yes.
who just want development. So the of late, I have started questioning the very development itself. That do we need Vikas Purush or we need Vichar Purush? So, and do we need Purush at all for that matter? That is there
Yes.
also. So, I'm a very thinking person, I'm constantly thinking about how and what I can do better for the society, not even thinking whether it will fetch me money or not. I've gone unemployed many years, by the way, but I'm just thinking and doing my work. And it has been appreciated always, for sure. Uh, Innovating what more can be done, what can be done in terms of water, what can be done with the community, what can be done. So I have tried everything as a proactive person. Projects have never come to me, but I have never stopped trying. I will say that. Still, I don't do any project, by the way. Now I'm just sitting and observing how people are screwing the society, how people
Yes.
are screwing all the buildings. And now I have a very strong tool, which is my pen or which is my mouse to write. So I think I am learning to write, and I'm going to write more and more about all these things. If I get time from my busy schedule, I would love to write and question all the architects, question all the planners, because when any building falls, we all blame the government. When anything wrong happens, we all blame the government, all the neta, and nobody is talking about the mistakes which architects and planners are doing. How can a city have 20%, 40% vacancy rate and still architect planners tell that the city needs to expand, we need to build more? Somewhere they are not in sync with the
Yes.
idea of sustainable development, and somewhere they are not truthful to the society. So these things are very strong in my head. So I don't claim myself to be spiritual, but I strongly believe that by not doing much, you are damaging less in this planet. This has come very strong in my head post PhD, I will say. So I am not really now interested in doing buildings, to be honest. I can design, I make my dream houses. I have like quite a few of them designed in my soft version, that घर ऐसा होना चाहिए, ये ऐसा होना चाहिए, वो ऐसा होना चाहिए, buildings ऐसी बननी चाहिए, details ऐसा होना चाहिए. I have a course on what not to do in architecture. So I do teach in architecture schools a lot. Uh, but I'm trying to convey this message of redevelopment now, that that is also required, and architects have to come forward and talk about the development, that no more development. Let us redevelop the brownfield site. Let us try to find out how to accommodate the vacant buildings, how to accommodate the poor people in the city, how to make sure that the water bodies are good and all. All these things are in my head at this moment. So I am not really interested anymore. I don't fancy architecture anymore, if architecture is about building. But if architecture is about making a good built environment, then building is not the only thing. Then cleaning the lake or doing a kind of a lake conservation is also architecture for me. So my perception of architecture has, widened. It's not limited to making a house. And I hate to say this because many of my friends say it, so it can go off the record. But all those people claiming that they are doing architecture and doing the interior design of a house, where a house can be really done with very meager amount, and people spend like lakhs and even crores. I just don't understand those things.
So much of
Now,
glass facades, you know.
uh,
Yes.
architecture for me is now more than buildings, I will say. Every bit of built environment is architecture, and everybody who is engaging in that practice, whether teaching or not, is also an architect. I consider teacher also an architect. So this is kind of a perceptual change. But if I have to focus only on the professional architecture, I have even not fancied any idol worship, master worship. I don't believe in those things. And And especially when I started doing this research on women in architecture, I realized that most of the men architects who are very big architects in the world had women behind their success. And do you know
Yes.
the wife of Frank Lloyd Wright?
No, ma'am.
So, um,
Was she
this
also an architect? Oh,
so this hits. This is there in the
yes,
head.
ma'am. Yes.
It hits very strongly, and I think that's where I am not even so keen that architecture be taught and discussed only in the built form perspective, and this whole idea of studio and focusing only on the design of the and the looks of the studio. I think I have grown past that, and thanks to my learning about water, that I know how important it is to be fluid, how important it is to be flexible, how important it is to be inclusive and accommodative, and where gender also comes into picture. So I will not say that my architecture per se has died. There is an built architecture in me, but I think that's not architecture alone. So there is more to architecture, which I think the schools need to understand better, and even youth needs to understand better. Actually, your generation, if they don't build a single building or a single room, the country has enough.
Mhm. Yes.
But if I say this, no architecture school will give me job or teaching or course or subject, and they will throw me out. But this is fact. If you are a proponent of sustainable development, if you are a proponent of climate change, if you are concerned about pollution, if you are concerned about future generation, if you are concerned about food, if you are concerned about poverty, you shouldn't be building. There is
Yes.
so much of work to do. Go out, reclaim public places, reclaim water bodies, green the city, clean the city. This is all architecture for me now. We cannot, who is going to do all this? Nobody has those skills and tools
Exactly.
available other than architects. But if
Yes.
architects, more than 50% architects just focus only on doing that, we will have more buildings than people in next 20 years,
True.
unfortunately.
Yes.
Even today, every parent is making house for their children. वो लोग जब बड़े होंगे वहाँ रहेंगे, ये मेरा सेकंड हाउस है, ये मेरा थर्ड हाउस, ये
Yes.
मेरा फार्म हाउस है. Architects are building them. They are supporting people's wrongdoing. So your generation will have really hard time to find even doing the architecture which you are learning, because there will be no
Yes.
demand.
Yes.
Mm. So it is better that you expand your outlook about architecture, which I think I did in the right time. And I have more profession. I can teach at Terry and also at architecture school. So it was not planned, but it is just introspection and realization. I have taken many breaks or sabbatical in life to really look at what is happening with me around in the profession. And I think, and I, as I told you, according to the society or norms, as I said, that I went unemployed several times. But
Yes.
I think that was the richest time of my life, because I was thinking what one should not do. We all learn and teach what we should do. We are not teaching or learning, but for ourselves what we should not be doing. So this is where I stand today, doing a lot of water everywhere. Still, the country is facing water problems, but I'm doing my bit. I can't solve all the problems,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I'm doing my
Doing
bit.
your part. Yes.
Yes. And that's, I think that is good enough. I'm teaching people that water is important. I'm teaching people gender is important. I'm teaching the community that how to work with the government. I'm participating with government, how to connect with community. I can't go and clean every lake in this country, which has more than 50 lakh lakes, by the way. Huh? So I can't do that. I have never cleaned one lake in my life. But somebody has to also do the knowledge creation of the subject. So I think my life will be all spent just studying lakes. I will have no time to study anything else, unfortunately. Such wonderful subjects around, but खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा lake का study. Now I am building a book on pattern language of urban lakes, which is in writing at this moment. So very similar to Christopher Alexander's pattern language. So let's see क्या होता है. So I just lived the way I prefer to. No questions asked, but I think people consider it as a very dream life. But the way I have made decisions in life and led it, I will not say that it is planned. It was not planned, but the hardships of the profession and my good intention has brought me here. I don't know whether I'm in a good position or bad position, but I think I don't regret a single day of my life. That is, I think, for me very important. Now I head an organization, Saki Waters, where you were communicating,
Yes, ma'am.
and it is solely working on water. Uh, that it's a job,
Okay.
very short time job, uh, but it's a wonderful experience to really just work on water. No building, no architecture, no eat, no patthar. But yes, waterfront development करते हैं लोग बाग. I have my reservations on that. I have my reservation on the word development itself and the building. Building not in the metaphorical sense, but the
Yes.
build.
Yes. Built
I have
environment.
serious
Yes.
questions now. I have serious questions on it now with architecture professor. How far can we build? How much can we build? Still, the country has more than 50% people living under poor conditions. And then we have some percentage of people who have more than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses.
Yes. Yes.
So we keep on saying that we have to bring the poor out of poverty and give them house and all. Nobody in this country is saying, hey, rich, you have more buildings than you can chew and then you can live. Because at one time, a family or a person is going to live in what one building. What are they doing with 10 houses, 4 houses, 2 even houses? We have not yet reached a society where we can question you are doing wrong for the planet, overconsumption. So we are actually wanting the poor to become like us who will have 2, 3, 4 houses, and we don't want to change ourselves. This is where the education has actually affected the society. Architecture education more.
Yes.
और
Okay.
बनाओ और बिल्ड करो, डिजाइन ऐसे करो वैसे करो, ये डिजाइन में ये गलत हो गया है, तुम्हारा डिजाइन का
Every
कॉन्सेप्ट
semester in
कहाँ है,
design problem. So
डिजाइन का कॉन्सेप्ट कहाँ है. नोबडी इज आस्किंग कि इसका ड्रेनेज कैसा होगा, नोबडी इज
yes.
आस्किंग कि इसका रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग कैसे होगा, nobody is asking whether the building is reducing energy consumption or not. डिजाइन में कॉरिडोर का
Concept
पाथवे
stage,
का
plan, and
डिजाइन.
then sections and elevations. That's it. And 3D,
That's
beautiful 3Ds. Yes.
walk
Okay.
through. So so
Yes.
superficial, no, that's what.
Yes. Okay.
So I think I have grown past that superficiality. But I love to go to juries और सबका एकदम धो के रख देती हूँ. बहुत मजा आता है. बुलाते भी हैं दोस्त बोलते. ठीक है, बट दे लो. ठीक है. और कुछ पूछना है?
Yes, ma'am.
खत्म हो गया
Few
हमारा इंटरव्यू.
questions. Few more questions. Ma'am, you have
लड़की.
made your. Yes, ma'am.
नहीं, मैं बोलूँ 6:30 बज रहा है, चलो जल्दी करो. हाँ.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Does being a woman makes you more empathetic towards design?
I think yes. I think it's not about being woman or not, but I guess women have that knack towards sustainability. That I have observed. If I look at works of men and women, barring few people like Laurie Baker or Roshi or Jeffrey Bawa, Frederick Law Olmsted, and very few people actually who had this feministic touch in the way they look at nature, and Doshi for that matter, I admire him a lot. But Laurie Baker equally, Stein also for that matter, Neelkant Chaya, to give few more names, and all these are men.
Yes.
But if I have to talk about women, then Didi Contractor is there, Meenakshi Jain is there, very much my own ma'am, Meenakshi Jain. So women do have that knack for sustainability and making more humane environment, because they are always taking into consideration this inclusiveness.
Yes.
And then the beauty for them is more in the inclusive manner than in the looks. You
And
can
next,
see this difference in architecture by done by women or not by. And Didi Contractor is the classic example for it. And even Chandra Varkar for that matter, Shilpa Ranade. These are very wonderful people.
so next question is, how can you make buildings and cities more sustainable, inclusive, and women friendly, basically, and safe through design
Women
aspects?
and
And
public space. Women and public space. कैमरा लगाएंगे सब जगह.
I don't think that's a solution. Cameras लगाते हैं.
Solution. तो तुम
I
बताओ
don't.
कैसे होगा women friendly.
Ma'am,
See, we have gone wrong somewhere in the society in understanding, making it more woman inclusive. First thing first, that inclusiveness has to be in the head, both in the head of men and women.
yes.
You still pull out architecture schools, which I did last year for my research. How many women HODs are there in architecture schools? Any guess?
I have. Yes, ma'am.
Did you look at it, the statistics? I did. We have the statistics for my research. Very few have a PhD out of it. So this whole making the place woman friendly will only happen when there is equal participation of both the gender, which is there in architecture schools, by the way. And when it is a school in an engineering college, it again misses that aspect, because the college management or university management is not gender inclusive, it is gender skewed. The architect who is appointed is not gender inclusive.
Yes.
The contractor is not gender. So things don't start after you have built the building. कोई भी बिल्डिंग में एक सोल होता है, वो सोल ना उस बिल्डिंग को डिजाइन करते वक्त ही आर्किटेक्ट डाल देता है. ये आर्किटेक्ट में ताकत तो है. तो आर्किटेक्ट ने जो सोचा होगा ना, बिल्डिंग ज्यादा से ज्यादा वैसा ही इट इज गोइंग टू टेक शेप एंड बिहेव. So if you want to make women friendly place, that has to be part of the program.
जैसे कि हम बिल्डिंग बनाते टाइम यस वी टॉक कि वेंटिलेशन अच्छा हो, एयर कंडीशंस यूज ना करने पड़े, सस्टेनेबल बिल्डिंग बनाए.
डिफरेंटली एबल्ड पीपल बोलते हैं ना, जैसे तो वैसा प्रोग्राम में इट हैज टू कम इन द हेड. वेदर इट इज देन डिजाइन्ड बाय अ मैन और वुमन, it is immaterial. Yes. But it has to be part of the program. For example, I give you a very simple example, you being an undergraduate student. Why on earth men's toilet and women's toilet are mirror or copied? Students do it. Exactly. Every office does it.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
And we being women architecture student. Yes, ma'am, exactly. Yes.
You just copy paste the toilet. When you are designing a school, you copy paste 2 toilets and you just write with your stencil or type,
yes.
Men's toilet, women's toilet. They are not different.
Yes.
The first thing first, we'll have to change the design approach. So yes. As I said, after the building is done, bringing a woman inclusive environment is a management decision. But to design building, making it woman inclusiveness, like the desks. The desk heights, first of all, the desk heights in this country is not even men's height. The desk heights are American men's height, where the average Indian man's height is very different than American men's height. We are so blinded with westernization that we don't even have men anthropometrically designed tables, even for men. Then forget about women.
Yes.
So women ka kya hota, 90% time, I'm just giving very simple example, these chairs. which are not so woman friendly office chairs. And by the way, I'm sitting on the floor at this moment and very happily work on the floor. Always worked on the floor. My office also has space on the floor. So
Nice.
this 90% of the women have these chairs where their feet are hanging, and then eventually you will go and see that the teachers, lady teachers, are sitting with their legs up because their
Yes.
feet cannot reach the ground.
Yes.
Huh? And then the students and the other men in the school will say, oh, ye to behenji chhap teacher hai.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
You are not seeing that it's a design fault.
Yes. Yes.
This is where there is a problem. I just gave simple example of chair and table, which is
Yes.
not woman friendly. Or you get a chair, like I had a chair in Netherlands in my office when I was teaching and doing my PhD there. The chair had all kinds of adjustment, so it was bisexual, a unisex chair.
Yes.
So I could bring, so hand rest in the chair are very manly. When we are working, our this arms should be stick to our body, by the way. This is
Yes.
the right posture. But because the handrests are far, we are sitting like this,
Yes.
because it's designed for American man. Even Indian men have problems. So now then we are sitting like this with hand dur say, then we have this shoulder pain, we have this, all this. So it's not even thought about.
Yes.
Look at the kitchen. A kitchen is designed for American people, where they don't even cook, and they have this hob and oven and everything
Yes,
underneath.
ma'am.
That is why they have a kitchen platform.
Yes.
Now
I've
you
seen most
design
of
that
the
kind of
kitchen.
kitchen.
Yes,
Like that.
ma'am.
It is
Women
like
can't
that
reach the
everywhere.
counter slab. Yes, ma'am. Even my
But
mother. Yes.
if you tell the woman, so let's have a kitchen like on the niche 1 feet 1.5 feet पे, even the woman will resist कि ये तो देसी दिखने लगेगा.
Yes.
हाँ, तो आपको देसी नहीं दिखना है.
मॉड्यूलर
I am
किचन नहीं
hardcore
लगेगा,
देसी.
मॉड्यूलर किचन
I am
चाहिए.
hardcore desi, by the way. I can
Yes.
speak languages. I have traveled half the world, but I am so desi in my heart. We made a new house. I kept requesting my husband that I want a kitchen on the floor, not floor, but 15 inches, because then I can sit on the floor and work, and just like I'm working in the office. And I'm at this moment at house. I just could not convince him, right from him to the relatives, to the friends, to the contractors. अरे मैडम नीचे कैसे बैठ के खाना बनाएंगे? मैंने बोला खाना मुझे बनाना है साल में 364 दिन. आप मुझे बताएंगे कैसे बनाना है? जब मैं बता रही हूँ मेरे घुटनों में दर्द है, जब मैं बता रही हूँ मुझे नीचे बैठ के खाना बनाना पसंद है, who are you?
Exactly.
But I could not convince. The platform is done on a higher height because we are educated elites. We have to do something which people don't get surprised. This is where the problem is. Women inclusiveness होने के लिए first understand women. First, women have to understand women.
Yes.
Men have to understand women, and men have to understand them. Just that someday my relative and my friends will come and see my kitchen and they will laugh at me. My kitchen floor is on the top. I can understand those which are done for others. But my house, architects, still we do the same mistake.
Yes.
And this mistake is taught in school. हाँ, अरे 2.5 फीट पे क्या 33 इंच पे प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं लगाया, 2 फीट और 2.25 फीट का वाइड नहीं दिया. अरे
Yes.
2.25 फीट वाइड में वुमेन का हाथ एंड तक पहुंचता ही नहीं है. वो किचन का वो प्लेटफॉर्म साफ नहीं कर पाती. पहली बात तो वुमेन खाना क्यों बनाए से वी स्टार्टेड आवर इंटरव्यू फ्रॉम देयर.
Yes. Yes.
बट अब वुमेन को बनाना ही है तो एटलीस्ट उसके जैसे तो बनाओ.
The cabinets वहाँ पे भी height नहीं पहुँचती है.
हाँ. Toilet design. There is no bidet in the toilet.
Yes.
Men are standing and peeing. Women are supposed to put their feet hanging in the WC because नीचे तक पहुँचता नहीं है उनका पैर WC पे बैठ के. Where did we learn all this? Western education. Huh? So we forgot what we have to do. So if you really want to make inclusive, first it has to come here. And also of the woman. And start appreciating some from the logic, from common sense, not from what everybody is doing. मॉड्यूलर तो वैसे भी लग सकता है नीचे किचन बनाने से भी. Institutions में they are just all the tables and chairs are designed like same as if there is no gender difference. Fine, which is very good. Forget gender. But if somebody is 5 feet height and somebody is 6 feet height, how can a chair and table be same for the same person? When we have a technology of flexibility, you just need to have flexible option so that it is unisex. These things are not coming up in architecture education, unfortunately. एजुकेशन बदलो, जो भी बदलना है एजुकेशन से ही होगा, बाकी से कुछ नहीं होगा. पेरेंटिंग एंड एजुकेशन. चलो और
Coming to the last question, ma'am.
मेरा मन
No,
भर
ma'am,
गया.
actually, I don't want this interview to end. मुझे बस ऐसा लग रहा है मैं बैठ के just listen to you.
मेरी बातें सुनती रहूं, but you are not the first person who is saying, because I
Yes,
have the
ma'am,
art
definitely.
to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
I have the art to speak, so don't forget that.
Yes, ma'am.
I can keep you busy for next 2 days. Don't worry. So, but I have to go.
Yes. So,
Chalo, bolo.
last question is, what is your message to the budding women professionals and architecture students specifically?
Architecture students, it means all kinds of architecture students or women architecture students, because the message will change.
Specifically to women.
Specifically to women. I think practice, women architects have to practice architecture with much broader horizon. As I said in my case also, and it gives more avenues and more opportunities. We have the capability to look things more inclusive. Increasing the horizon is also inclusive, very few men have explored this possibility to look at architecture beyond building. And many women, if you go and do the research, you will find many women have deviated from the building architecture definition. Women are more risk takers. They go out and take risks and do very different things. So do not hesitate to experiment and explore. That's very important. And expand your horizon beyond building design, plan, elevation section. There is more to architecture. Then I think an important aspect for women to learn is learn to embrace failure gracefully. Failing is not a problem. It is very important to learn to fail.
Yes.
And happily accept it and declare that I have failed in this experiment, but I tried. This is very important. So that sportsman spirit is very much required. If you also look in my trajectory, I have more failures than I have succeeded, to be honest.
Yes.
But I think I celebrate the failures. So learn to celebrate the failures if you want to remain happy. End of the day, you have to be happy in what you are doing. If you build less, no problem. But if you can keep building on the body of knowledge. So do not think that if I am not building a building, but I started working on water or I started working on women, try to establish links. So everything is interconnected in this world. So try to establish that link and take things head on, yeah. Just fight for your right. I mean, there is nobody is going to give you that this is the medal and this is for you. You have to say, hello, this is my medal and I have to take it. But of course, by showing some work, So just keep doing, just keep flowing. That's most important. Just flow with the time, with the work you love to do. And I'm not making it up. I have tried and tested in my life. It is doable.
Yes.
If you make more money and no peace of mind, it is as good as, stones.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have peace of mind, if you have happiness, if you are confident, if you are honest, you can buy anything in this world. You can annoy anybody in this world and that is your best thing you can do.
Yes.
With your calmness, with your honesty, with your happiness, you can really put people to annoyance. For some reason, because people measure success by some yardsticks. Don't measure success by yardsticks. Just follow your heart. But you don't need to fight for it. But there are good ways to do it strategically. That this is my claim. There is my space. Just chill, I think.
Okay.
Your mother is there, I guess.
Sister, she just came back from her office.
Very good. Chalo, say my hi to her. And I hope I get to see this recording somewhere.
Yes, I'll mail it to you.
Sure. But this is Zoom, huh? So can you save
Yes,
it?
ma'am.
I guess.
Yes, ma'am. I
I
have
see.
recorded and I can save it.
Sure. Chalo. Take care.
Thank you so
And
much, ma'am. Thank you,
I
ma'am.
see you someday that you are a big architect doing
Yes,
lot
ma'am.
of things. Okay. Chalo.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.